Hello, viewers. It's my pleasure and indeed my privilege to be talking to Brian Harry today. Brian needs no introduction to those who are familiar with the Microsoft ecosystem. But for those who aren't, Brian is Corporate Vice President of Developer Services at Microsoft. He heads the Team Foundation Server and Visual Studio Team Services globally. Brian, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you
And
too.
thanks for taking the time out to be with us today.
Happy to. Thank you.
Brian, I'd like to start a little bit at a broader level. Those of us who look at Microsoft from the outside have seen a profound change or a shift. How does it feel to be making this difference and being a part of it?
Sure. It's exciting. I've been at Microsoft 23 years, and Microsoft has had a reputation of being very insular, being sort of all about Windows and sort of not about anything else. And in the last several years, that has changed a lot. Microsoft has been much more open and embracing, and I think of us as just trying to be a valuable part of a broader community, whether it's the open source community or the mobile community or just any breadth developer community. I think Satya has been an important part of that transformation. Satya has a very embracing attitude. He pushes a very customer-centric view inside the company, and he calls it customer obsession, making sure that everyone at Microsoft is super focused on what customers need and how to make customers happy. And as I say, we're now engaged in the Office group, in Android and iOS development. Pretty much every organization at Microsoft, even Windows, is now engaged in the open source community, contributing open source, consuming open source. I think it's been an exciting transformation to watch.
You have made great strides on machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Yes.
If you take augmented reality, you have HoloLens.
Mm-hmm.
Even hardware,
Yep.
we talked about the Surface line, which seems to become its own category leader. And you, of course, had the Xbox, out there for a while.
Yep.
So Microsoft is really playing in a much broader space than it was ever before. So how do you think, this relates to customers, and is Microsoft being able to serve customers in a much broader sense than it was before?
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I mean, there's almost no part of computing and computing software and hardware that Microsoft isn't engaged in at some level. And I think leading in a lot of very important ways. I mean, you mentioned machine learning and sort of the intelligent cloud is kind of the way we talk about it. It's an area where we're really doing groundbreaking work, and I'm very excited about it. You asked about how sort of this looks to customers. Well, I mentioned a minute ago that Satya's focus on customer obsession and really focusing on understanding the scenarios. What are the problems? What are the things in people's lives that customers want to be better, and how do we as a company do that, and how do we bring the full breadth of our assets to bear, from the hardware to the local applications on devices, to the cloud services and data centers, to sort of a full stack, all the way from the device you hold on your hand to the stuff that runs in the cloud. Nobody else really provides that kind of breadth and that kind of end-to-end solution capability.
It's also fascinating in that journey to see that you haven't been shy of, taking back steps that you didn't go the way that you like them to go, and also embracing in that process competitors' platforms. As you said, you have products that you can help deploy on Android, on iOS, cross-platform, cloud-first, mobile-first. So it's difficult to embrace, platforms that are not your own. But you said earlier today as well how you're embracing open source.
Yep.
So can you give us a sense of how this is benefiting the developer community?
Yeah, I think you're not going to win at everything, and pick your battles and choose what you're going to be great at. I think we've done a good job in the last few years of really embracing what customers use and what they need, again, by focusing on that customer obsession. Now, that has meant, particularly for developers, you talked about developers, us engaging in a much broader set of technologies, from our acquisition of Xamarin and the terrific productivity that brings to helping you build applications that span Android and iOS devices, to our work with TypeScript to build a much more productive JavaScript programming language, whether you're doing JavaScript in the browser or you're doing JavaScript, say, as part of Cordova development for devices. Our .NET Core, the cross-platform .NET Core work we've done, and open sourcing the .NET Core framework, I think were big steps that surprised a lot of people, and really made some people start to think very differently about Microsoft and the way we were behaving. Azure has embraced Linux in a big way. A lot of workload that runs on Azure now runs on Linux, and is every intent to make Linux as good and awesome an offering on Azure as Windows is. I think even Java, who I think you would have said, we battled head to head for a long time, we've embraced, and providing developer offerings and SDKs and great Azure support for Java developers. So it really doesn't matter what kind of developer you are, what technology stack you're building for, what operating system, we're going to provide solutions for you.